Hi, everyone. We're going to be talking tonight about congestion, sinus congestion, chronically when we've got that stuffy nose or a runny nose. And this comes from an article by Dr. Jockers about sinus congestion, the causes and symptoms, and the support strategies to go along with it. If you have any questions, please feel free to give Dr. Udani a quick text and she'll be happy to answer all of your questions. Dr. Udani is our naturopathic doctor here at Justine Blainey Wellness Center, and she has amazing special interest in both women's health, digestive issues, chronic pain, stress, poop, skin conditions, and your cardio metabolic systems. She genuinely believes that everyone has the ability to make healthy, long-lasting changes in our health, and she has some great insights to share with you this evening. Please help me welcome Dr. Udani.
Thank you so much, Angela. Hello, everybody. Good evening. So we have an amazing talk coming up today about congestion, about runny nose, chronically runny nose, and what some of the things that could be causing it and some things that we can do to help improve this condition. But upcoming, we have an advanced nutrition and chronic disease makeover. This is happening in person at the office. Please, we do need you to register for this. So if you're interested, please sign up at the front desk team. There's also going to be talk on tennis or golf with elbow and some techniques that can help with reducing the pain. And Dr. Justine is going to come on to talk about some things that we can do to manage when we're having a bad day. Dr. Blake is going to be here to talk about cataracts and vision health and why it's so important. And we're also going to be doing a degenerative disease makeover. So lots of informative learning webinars coming your way. Please tune in for all of these exciting talks in the future as well. So today we're going to talk about sinuses, the congestion, the runny nose, the yucky post-nasal drip that drips down the back of your throat, the constant sniffling, all of this stuff. So all of this is related to your sinuses. So, sinus headaches is another thing as well that can be caused by congestion of the sinuses. So how do sinuses work? Now, these are these air-filled empty spaces, kind of surrounds your eyes, surrounds your nose, and they have a lining and it's mucus lined. So this is where when they are triggered and inflamed, you get a lot of mucus production. You get the stuffiness coming up. And so, and you can feel the heaviness and the pressure building too. So finding what's causing the sinus to be congested is important, and also finding ways to prevent it. Natural, holistic way is what we're going to talk about today. So sinus congestion is a very, very common congestion. And, we're in the cold and flu season, so you might notice the congestion coming on, the stuffy nose. And when you're trying to sleep on one side, you might feel one of the noses blocked. When you switch, it clears out. So that's a sign of sinus congestion. And, it can also be very, very painful as well. And this can be temporary when you're fighting a cold. That's part of our immune system fighting this bacteria and trying to trap it. So that's actually part of the healing process. But if you have this chronically all the time, it can really affect your quality of life because, you're not able to breathe properly. So congestion is when we have excess mucus being produced in these sinuses, because the cells in the sinuses produce a lot of mucus to help trap any kind of molecules harmful that are considered harmful for the body, and so it can cause a lot of mucus production. But over time, this can be a problem. So these are some of the symptoms of sinus congestion. You get that stuffy nose. You might get the phlegm buildup. It's runny. Lots of, could be sneezing. You're clearing out your nose. You can even have mucus dripping down your throat. You can feel the pain, the pressure. You can feel the headache like right in here. You can feel pressure by your nose. You might also have a cough, sore throat, bad breath, fatigue can all be signs of sinus congestion. So these are some of the main causes of whatever is congesting your sinuses. Of course, there could be an infection. There could be a bacteria. There could be a virus. There could be a fungi. There could be harmful microbes that is triggering the mucus production. Mold exposure, the chronic mold exposure will definitely can cause congestion in the sinuses. Allergies, right? Hay fever, sniffling, the tears, all of that can be triggered by allergies. Nasal polyps can also block the proper drainage of the sinuses. Food sensitivities can increase congestion, phlegm, the dampness in the body, and histamine intolerance can all cause sinus congestion. So we're going to go down all of these causes now. So sinus infections is, of course, one of the main things that can cause your sinuses to be clogged up, right? And, you know, a lot of times when you have, when you're fighting a bug, you might notice that you just feel the congestion coming on. So this is termed sinusitis, so inflammation of the sinuses. And this is because of a pathogen, a microbe. And, you know, when it's acute, it can last up to 4 weeks. Sometimes this can be prolonged if you have a weakened immune system, or you've been chronically exposed to some of the other causes that we just mentioned. But if it's chronic, it could be 3 months or longer that you might experience these sinus congestion issues. Now, what can happen is when there is this bad bacteria or a bug in your sinuses, the mucus production ramps up, try to trap it, right? Which needs to happen because we don't want this to go down our lungs, because that would be even worse, because that would become pneumonia. That could be a lung abscess. That could be, you know, something worse. So our sinuses are doing its job to trap whatever is coming in. But what can happen is when this is over a long time, the hairs, the small hairs in the sinuses that help move this mucus can be impaired, and it just doesn't work as well. So the mucus just keeps building up and can cause blockages. And, you know, and the inflammation will keep producing more mucus. So now you kind of have this blocked, clogged ducts that just don't drain. And you can also have nasal polyps that can just prevent by blocking this drainage process from happening too. And so this can be made worse when you're exposed to things like mold. So the thing is, mold can actually be anywhere in where you live, especially if you live in an older home, or if you live in a basement, or if your bedroom is in a poorly ventilated place, or if your bathroom is poorly ventilated and there's moisture that takes a long time to properly clear out, you have a risk of growth of mold. This can even happen in older buildings. So even where you work you could be exposed to mold. And the problem is that you can have mold in one spot, but the spores travel throughout the whole place. And it can be very, very harmful for your health. And one of the first ways the mold gets into your body is through your nose, right? So that's just where you can experience this really, really bad congestive feeling. And then this can develop into headaches, can develop into allergies, can become brain fog, fatigue, and other chronic symptoms. So one of the best ways you can find out mold is through smell. So mold will have that musty smell. So when you walk into a building, or walk into a basement, or like any kind of room, you might notice like there's a weird musty wet smell. That could very most likely be mold. You can also have the color and the appearance. So we actually did a talk specifically on mold exposure that you can, if you want more information, please check that out. And of course, if you have moisture issues. So like I mentioned, if you know this place had some water damage, or this is a bathroom or a kitchen, or, you know, washer or dryer, anywhere that is exposed to a lot of moisture, there might be a chance of mold growth. And allergy-like symptoms like rashes, hives can also be mimicked by mold exposure. Number 3 is environmental allergies. So of course, you know, this can happen come springtime or come fall time. Your allergies tend to ramp up, right? The pollen, the trees are releasing, there's dust, there's air pollution as well. And you can get a lot of wheezing, a lot of sneezing, itchy skin, runny nose, a lot of clogged up mucus, coughing, high sinus congestion, watery eyes. And these allergy symptoms caused by environmental allergies can also be caused by food sensitivities as well. And so this is another major cause of sinus congestion. Number 4 is nasal polyps. So what happens is when this congestion goes on for a really, really long time, or if you've had some kind of trauma to your sinuses, so things like, a ball to the head or something that affected your nose, the septum, or any kind of trauma, that inflammation can trigger growth of polyps. So think of polyps like these little grapes that can hang in your sinuses that can actually affect the way the sinuses properly work. It can stop and really prevent the way your body the sinuses can drain, and it can block that. It prevents the little hairs in the sinuses flushing away the mucus. And these polyps can come on any of the chambers, any of the sinus chambers in the skull. And the risk factors are if you had a history of asthma, if you had chronic sinus infections, cystic fibrosis, hay fever, or allergies can also increase your chances of getting a polyp. So the treatments for polyps is that there are ways you can shrink polyps through medication, but you might need surgery to remove large polyps if there are chronically very, very, very large polyps. Number 5 is food sensitivities. So food sensitivities are different from food allergies. Food sensitivities can happen in adulthood. Allergies tend to happen from, when you were a child, when you're a baby, and they're immediate reactions, right? Think of a peanut allergy or a seafood allergy. It immediately happens. You get the symptoms and you need medical care immediately. Whereas, with the food sensitivity, it might take a long time for you to notice the effects. Sometimes it just is bloating or fatigue or brain fog. One of the most common food sensitivities that can cause congestion is dairy. So too much dairy will cause, in traditional Chinese medicine perspective, it can cause dampness. So when there's dampness in the body, that will cause congestion. That's going to make any kind of movement very sluggish. So congestion with dairy, it can be a big, big factor with as a food sensitivity causing your sinus congestion. Number 6 is histamine intolerances. So histamine is, a molecule that's released by your immune system. And when there's too much of histamine floating around the body, that can cause the allergy symptoms that we talked about. It can cause congestion. It can cause the tearing of the eyes, the rashes, and can also affect your sleep patterns as well. Histamine plays a big role throughout the whole body. And you can also get histamine from food as well. And our body naturally has enzymes that break down histamine. But when these enzymes are not functioning properly, you're going to have a lot of histamine kind of floating in the body. And that can cause a lot of this congestion symptoms. Alcohol can also trigger a lot of histamine in the body as well. So now we're going to talk about natural therapies to support your sinus congestion, to help relieve congestion. So these include foundations, right? Anti-inflammatory nutrition plan, eliminating food sensitivity. So figuring out what could you be sensitive to, considering a low histamine diet plan, improving your microbial health, improving your probiotics, cleaning up the airspace that you're exposed to. You can try acupressure techniques. Essential oils can be very, very beneficial with trying to stimulate the lymphatic flow, the congestion. And using a neti pot is another great way. And you can also try considering using colloidal or nano silver that can also help with congestion. And taking immune supportive nutrients can also be good. So we're going to jump right into these. Okay, number 1, anti-inflammatory diet. So we want lots of color in our foods. We want lots of healthy, things that are from the earth, that lots of herbs, lots of spices, healthy oils, things like avocados, olive oil, coconut oil, fresh protein, healthy, wild caught fish. Aim for smaller size fish because there's a lot less heavy metal exposure. You can get grass-fed beef or meat, poultry, green tea, amazing anti-inflammatory, turmeric, ginger, such great herbs that have anti-inflammatory properties. Lots of fruits, lots of color. They're very, very good for reducing inflammation. And we want to stay away for as much as possible from the refined grains, things like white rice, white flour, bleached flour, whole, grains that are too refined. Deep fried foods, of course, and seed oils, things like canola, soybean, margarine, things are just high in the unhealthy fats. And we want to also, of course, avoid grain-fed beef and meats as possible. Of course, if there is, we want to just be mindful. Food grocery prices are increasing these days as well. So doing your best while you can will go a long way as well. Now we're going to also talk about eliminating food sensitivities. So this is a great way to figure out what could be triggering your congestion. So one of the things you can do is, like I mentioned before, one of the biggest bad guys is dairy, but they can also be gluten or could also be eggs. So these tend to be the three main bad guys, quote unquote. Now, what you can do is you can first come up with a diet diary to see how often are you exposed to these, eating these foods. And then you can cut these down for 2 weeks, complete 2 weeks, and monitor how you feel. How is the congestion? Is it better or has it not changed at all? Then it might not be this food that you need to eliminate. It might be something else. So, and also reading the labels, making sure whatever you are sensitive to is not in the food products will also help with helping reduce the congestion in the sinuses. Strategy number 3 is considering a low histamine diet. So with all of these strategies, I just want to let you know you don't need to do this alone. You can have a team with you, and such as myself, helping you go through this process, because sometimes it can be overwhelming. It can feel like there's a lot that needs to be done. But once you have somebody on your team that can help you to hone in on specific things you could do that is easy for your lifestyle as well, that can go a long way for you to maintaining these habits long term. So some of the histamine-rich foods that if you are curious if it could be histamine is things like foods that have vinegar, canned foods, cheeses, fermented foods tend to have a lot more histamine as well. Chocolate, mushrooms, processed meats, even things like tomatoes and spinach can be higher in histamine. So when we're thinking about histamine diet, low histamine diet, we want to eliminate these foods as much as possible, or try to manage the consumption. And we want to get to the low nutrient, low in histamine, high nutrient foods that can help calm the and help your body digest and process histamines better. Now, if you are curious about histamines, and if you're wondering if you have high histamine levels, we can do testing to figure out if that is something that you are faced with as well. Number 4 is supporting your gut microbiome health, because really everything does start from your gut. So if your gut is unhealthy, and if your gut has bad gut bacteria or microbes, or an unhealthy amount of them and causing inflammation, it's going to affect inflammation in the whole body. So, and when there's too much inflammation, you're going to have poor quality of life, and also poor absorption of nutrients, poor immune system function, and it can really affect the way the rest of the body function as well. So supporting the gut microbiome is something that I do a lot with my patients, and it can actually be very, very, very beneficial. You might notice that not just your sinuses improve, but even your body, like things like your skin can improve, joint pain improves, sleep quality improves. So when you are having chronic sinus congestion, there is a likelihood that you probably need help with your digestion and your gut microbiome as well. Number 5 is cleaning up your air quality. So this is very important, because if you are wondering if you're exposed to mold, or if there is something that is triggering this sinus congestion, and one of the best ways you can figure this out is if you change locations and you notice that your sinus congestion isn't as bad, or let's say you stayed away somewhere at a hotel, for a week or so, and you notice that you're able to breathe better, then there's a chance that something at your home is triggering it. So having an air purifier in the areas at your home where you are, most likely to stay at, so this could be your living room, your bedroom, can can go a long way into trapping these toxins, this mold. It could be something else. It could be like pet dander or dust that is triggering the sinuses to produce mucus and cause congestion. Sometimes it could also be toxic beauty products, things like perfume, things that are very, very, very irritating to your sinuses that is causing the congestion too. Number 6 is trying acupressure techniques. So acupressure, if you're scared about needles, acupressure is another great way that you can trigger the sinuses to help release and help drain. So step 1, you want to push your tongue against the top of your mouth. Instead of leaving it on the floor, you want to leave it at the top of the mouth. And you don't need to aim at any point, just simply try to place it on the top of your mouth. And immediately you might notice that you're able to breathe a little bit better. Then you want to put your finger between your eyebrows and apply some pressure. So right here, you know how people say when they pinch the bridge of their nose, they tend to feel better, like the sinus pressure goes down. So there are some acupuncture points right next to your eye, actually, the pressure there when you press it. And if you hold it for 20 to 30 seconds, that could be really, really beneficial for kind of giving you some immediate relief. You can also try essential oils on your temples, to kind of help stimulate the lymphatic flow and to help with draining your sinuses as well. Number 6, like I mentioned, is essential oil. So you can use it in a diffuser. You can inhale it directly from the bottle. You can apply it topically. There's usually rollers that you can now buy that you apply by your temples and you do a little massage to help it function better. Ingesting is not something that I personally recommend with essential oils, just because it could be a little bit tough on your stomach for certain people. I rather that you diffuse it or inhale it or use it topically with the carrier oil. Some of the essential oils that can be really helpful with sinus congestion is eucalyptus. It just helps open up the airways. Now, that's one of the things that usually the go-tos that I use if you are in need of some essential oils that need help. Number 7 is using a neti pot. So very important is when you're using a neti pot, please make sure the water is filtered and purified, because you are going into your nasal cavities, and right next to your nasal cavity is your brain. Okay, so please make sure that it's filtered, purified, boiled water that is in the neti pot. And you want to lean forward over a sink. You tilt your head a little sideways, so you put the neti pot in one of the nostrils sideways, and basically it's going to flush the sinuses and bring things down. This is helpful if you are experiencing congestion, like just very bad, and it can also help moisten the sinuses to help flush it out more. Number 9 is considering using some supplements, some products to help your sinuses fight if there is an infection, if there is a chronic infection that just keeps on affecting the way you're breathing. So colloidal silver is a great supplement, great spray that you can use. It is antimicrobial and it is safe to use because it's in a very, 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 very low concentration. It's in parts per million. So it's not like you are spraying in silver, like liquid silver, definitely not like that. It is colloidal, which means it is very, very, very diluted and fine silver particles. And this can be done, but before we get into supplements, I always like to say, look at the root cause, talk to your naturopath, come see me, or anyone that you trust that can help you with coming up with a plan to tackle this, instead of maybe not necessarily you going to and using anything and everything, because sometimes it might not be working for you. Whatever that works for your friend might not work for you, right? Because you have unique health symptoms, and we want to figure out what's really triggering your sinus congestion. Number 10 is Ion Sinus. So this is an article with Dr. Jockers. We want to honor him and support some of the products that he also has. So this is a product that can help with helping the microbiome in the sinuses, right? The microbiome, the bacteria, is actually not just in the gut, it's also in the sinuses, it's in our skin, it's in our hair. So this bacterial population, we want to be able to support it to have proper healthy bacterial growth that actually promote our immune system and support our immune system and get rid of anything that is actually triggering the inflammation. And of course, we can't forget vitamin D. So now that it's cold and flu season, please, and the sun isn't there as much, we want to make sure that our vitamin D levels are on top, and there's the best way is to get it tested to make sure that it's good and you're not deficient, because it is one of the most common vitamin deficiencies in the world. 75% of Americans are deficient in vitamin D, and when vitamin D is too low, it's going to increase your likelihood of congestions, of heart disease, kidney disease, mental health, depression, anxiety, diabetes, and cancer. So it's a very, very important vitamin that our body needs for proper immune function. Zinc, of course, we also need that as well for improving the immune system. Zinc is not just for immune system, it's very, very important for so many other different parts of the body. You can measure your zinc levels first, so we can test before we guess to see where you are and then help you build up your zinc, because our bodies does not produce zinc. We do need zinc from outside source. Vitamin C is, of course, you know, we need vitamin C when we're thinking about immune system. Benefits our immune system immensely. It increases our energy levels. It's important for our stress, for adrenal function, healthy hair, joint, and skin. And it can also actually improve your histamine response. It can calm down your histamine levels when we have adequate amounts of vitamin C in the body. Bioflavonoids these are extracts from plants, and so fruits and vegetables, very, very high in anti-inflammatories, antioxidants, and it can have really, really amazing benefits for your immune system and for balancing the immune response. So that was our talk on sinus congestion, and hopefully you have more help and you've learned more about what can be done and also what could be causing sinus congestion. So here are some talks that we're going to have in the future. Please come in and register and join us for the Advanced Nutrition and Chronic Disease Makeover. That's going to happen. We're also going to have a talk on tennis and golfer's elbow, things we can do to prevent it. If you're having a bad day, please tune into Dr. Justine's talk on 10 helpful things you can do to immediately help get through the day. And we have Dr. Blake coming in to talk about our vision health, how to help with cataracts and preventing that. And degenerative disease makeover is also happening soon, coming up. So these are amazing talks that we have, and we hope that you learned a lot with this talk. Please connect with us and give us your feedback. We'd love to hear feedback from you. And if you have any ideas, any talk ideas you would like us to talk on, please let us know as well. And as always, it was great talking and sharing my knowledge with all of you. And we hope that you have an amazing evening and rest of your night.